So anyway, friends, this is the talk. I'm sorry, it was the managing governing council meeting, etc. So this is talking about how to make your practice a success. One thing that I will wish to say is that there is enough and more opportunities, and what Lalit said, and maybe what Dr. Naga said, there is a mix of both the things for a person to be successful as also be a leader. So whether it is 50-50, 40-60, 60-40, that doesn't matter, but there has to be the necessary ingredient for thought process and the willingness to be successful in any particular venture that is. So Shushut, I would say we have a rich history of having the best or the first person to have conducted a cataract surgery. And from there on, there are the laser technology, etc., that has moved on. So regarding the success in practice, I think it should be not just practice, but I'll just wish to say that there are several things which are changing, and let us not be as individuals or as ophthalmologists be caged in with a particular thought process that the service part of ophthalmology is the only thing which one calls as success. So I'll just talk about what the future patterns are likely to be, how technology is molding practice, and I'm sure over the next 10 years or the 15 years things are going to be very, very different. The regulatory squeeze that is happening, what the training needs to be done, are we going to still be a land of subsidies, or it will be more like a capitalistic kind of a situation? And finally, something which everyone wants to talk, which is work ethics and work-life balance that is there. So when we are looking at, let's do a crystal ball glazing, that is the future practice pattern. If we look at it, what is very, very important is that there is the best thing is what they say is that mutualism will give me nectar and I spread your pollen. So that is something very, very important. That's what I said earlier, that you create leaders. So there has to be mutualism for you to succeed in your practice, and you need to actually groom the youngsters and to make a team, whether it be the administrative team, whether it be the BD team, whether it be the practice team, but you have to, and that is what is very, very important, that there is has to be a mutual coexistence and there has to be growth. There will be an exponential growth if you believe in mutualism that is there. So because there is, in the areas where all of us want to be, there is a market saturation because of the skewed concentration. Like today, if we look at Delhi, there will be 2000 ophthalmologists. You look at Bangalore or Chennai, so everyone is coming or concentrating to come into the tier 1 cities or the tier 2 cities, and the main problem is because of the inadequate infrastructure as regards the education, as regards the colleges, etc., for the children, and as regards the facilities that are there. So unfortunately, till this skewed concentration is taken care of, one has to kind of look at collaboration if you are looking in tier 1 cities. But mind you, if you talk to anybody from the e-commerce or the online space, the maximum growth that they have seen specifically in the COVID is from the tier 3 cities. So friends, do not neglect the possibility of being in practice in a tier 3 cities, because there is the lack of ophthalmologists, the market saturation is not there, and that is one of the biggest things. The cost of existence and the synergy of ideas is going to determine the collaboration in a tier 1 city. So I am again saying that if you are looking in a oversaturated market, collaboration is going to be the key for you to be successful. Going out as an individual may have difficulties for you. Now, this is something that one has to understand, as Dr. Lalit was saying, that there is no substitute for hard work, but then hard work and smart work. This is something that has to be combined. So this is where I would say that there are certain unnecessary things that you can actually pass on in a practice to a paramedic or something like that. For example, if I have to be asked to do a contact lens trial or I have to do a refraction, that would be something which is not actually doing a hard work. I would say that's the smart work, that you have trained somebody for that small little particular skill set, and that is what is going to happen. So in practice, for you to succeed, you have to have smartness that is there. Now, the next thing, important thing for a successful practitioner is a satisfied word of mouth. What grows in practice is word of mouth, and what is very, very important is that this dissatisfied patient will be a bigger problem for you than one satisfied patient. So if there is a dissatisfied patient, you need to work on that and find out, and often a good talk to that person is going to change the dissatisfaction level. So one satisfied patient, they say, leads to 4 new patients, but one dissatisfied patient can reach to dissuading 10 potential patients from you. Now, this is something that is being talked about, that small fish, big fish. So I think there are two ways to it. Either you have the energy to come together, collaborate, mutualism, and become a big fish yourself, because I think that is something which is, you can see with the Amazons, you can see with Geo. Let's look at an example of Geo, how it has killed competition today, and Airtel is having difficulty. You can say a Vodafone and an Idea got bust. So they had to combine together so to fight it out. So that is something very, very important, that in doctors specifically, when you are looking at practicing, I don't know why we still do not have the sense of mutualism which is there, of collaboration which is there. I think the self ego is something which is self-destructing in a lot of the people who have not been able to succeed, because they do not want to have a mutual collaboration which is there. Now, when you are looking at a mutual collaboration, what is very, very important is that if you are solo, you have to do almost everything. If you are in a group, today, it's not that if I'm the whole day, Dr. Lalit, myself, or the others are in the conference, that Center for Sight is shut down. But if you are an individual practitioner, under those circumstances, if you have to do something, the whole thing shuts down. So collaboration gives you something very, very important. You have a conference, you're going on a vacation, paid leave, personal leave, sick leave, etc. You would have people who would still run the institution or the organization for you. There are the benefits of comprehensive insurance that you can get, life insurance, there could be a retirement plan, etc. There could be places like, at least you can have fitness centers or things like that within the institutions that you have. Now, this is the first thing that I am saying, that today growing big is something very, very important, because economies of scale come in, because economies of equipment uses come in. If you have invested a lot in technology, which I'll be talking next, and you are just doing 5 surgeries or 10 surgeries or 30 surgeries in a month, you will never be able to have a return on capital employed. And that is the biggest problem which is there. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, technology is coming in a very, very big way into ophthalmology. And you can see like the 3Ds from a microscope, now we are coming on to 3D, etc. So what I feel is that as much as technology has made a difference over the last years, it is going to make a much bigger impact in the years to come. And you will, as if you are, I would say, not able to generate that kind of revenue, you will be left behind, because the technology is delivering. If today we can say that there is a femto cataract, or you can say a smile procedure, you have to pay the money to get it, because the technology is delivering. So be very careful. I think whenever you are putting an equipment in practice, you have to see what is the return on capital, how many patients you are going to do, or whether you can co-share that equipment, etc. Now, one important thing that you have to see is that apart from ophthalmology, India is today emerging as a fertile ground for high-end manufacturing. Look at the intraocular lenses, look at the API industry, look at the pharma industry. Today, vaccines are made in India, which are being exported. And there is a kind of a reverse brain drain. There is so much of capital and funding. So if you look at the private equity market, which is there, the maximum amount of money has come in this COVID time over the last 6 to 12 months. So world-class accredited facilities have been made. The market, the world is flat today. You can do any manufacturing, you can do anything in India, and you can send it out. The obvious answer which we have just now, which say even Vietnam has today or India has, which we are getting over China, is the cheaper labor that we have, and the mega demand which is fueled within India that is there. So I think just be conscious of the fact that there could be opportunities apart from your doing an ophthalmology, which is there. Research we have not really concentrated on, and I am putting this even in a successful practice, because the light of innovation has to be there in India. Otherwise, it will be the darkness of ignominy. So friends, just look at being ophthalmologist, and whether you can just move a little bit the needle from being an ophthalmologist into research, into product development. We have the example of Suven, who launched his Suven Bhattacharjee ring, which is making profits for him, and it has created a name for him. So what is very, very important is that if you can do good work even in research, and get the technology faster, safer, predictable, and reproducible indigenous technology with emphasis on cost, you will be at the future cutting edge. And I'm telling you that that will also give you a lot of success and a lot of satisfaction. That is now, just compare and contrast United States and India. Today, United States is the undisputed leader in the technology medical interface. And why is that? There is so much of money that is being spent and a conducive environment that has been created for R&D. And there are hypotheses which are worked out in the US, while in India, we are just reproducing or phase 3 clinical trials or phase 4 clinical trials, but does not matter. R&D money will come in due course of time. But what we have is that there are tight patent laws. You can see that whatever equipments or instruments that are introduced in the developer countries come first and then go to US because of the time that it takes. So the regulatory protocols are there in India, but you have, what is the importance is that you have the trained, skilled manpower which is there. You have the practical experience. I would say that the surgical skill set is the best, and the patient doctor ratio is not as bad as it is in the US. That means, sorry, not as good as in US. You still have more patients than the doctors that are available. Now, if you are in making yourself a success, you could go to centers of excellence which are receptive to adopt these new technologies and techniques. And I think that will be a successful career option for you, which is very, very important. You can have relatively cheap medicines and regulatory bodies which are not that stringent just now. And the general population can realize the value of research and volunteer to take part in these studies, because we ourselves are running studies. And that is something that you need to look at as being a success in your career. There are enough and more people in the US or in the developed countries who put themselves totally into research that is there. Now, the final thing that I will wish to say is that the collaborative research is going to give, in the research thing, I'll say is it is going to give you the advantage India, because you have quality ophthalmologists, you have access to patients, and the cost is very affordable, and therefore there is a lot of research that is coming in. India today has the perfect human resource and the skill set. If you look at the number of cataract surgeries that are done in the US, 3.6 million. In India, we perform 7.3 million. So if you add 1 plus 2, half of the cataract surgeries in the world are doing. So why can't we be doing cutting edge research work in ophthalmology that is there? And technology can undergo phase 3 testing and trials in India at double the pace of what it can be done in the US or other countries. Now, one important thing which I feel, which is going to be, there is going to be a move towards artificial intelligence. People who are the youngsters who are good at what is artificial intelligence, those who are good in digital technology, they will flourish. There is no escaping from this particular fact that the practice patterns are going to change. Tomorrow you might be visiting a mall, and in the mall there'll be a camera which will take a place and take a picture for a diabetic, and there'll be an artificial intelligence work that is done and say that he's diabetic retinopathy, he has NPDR, PDR, etc. And those are the things. It is going to also maybe look at cardiac event risk monitoring. Contact lenses are being developed which can monitor your blood sugar throughout your entire day, rather than having the monitors stuck into your skin. Cataract screening, there are going to be algorithms for being able to say whether a patient, say, is fit for refractive surgery or is not fit for refractive surgery. All investigative reports are going to be put together, and collation of reports are going to happen, and you will get something which is a result which is there. So friends, you will have a definite sea change in the practice patterns that are going to be there, and digital technology, artificial technology is going to be there. 3D printing is something which is an exciting field, I think, where you can look at from a perspective. I am talking something not as a core practice, but I am saying that these are the options. Please do not close your minds to these particular options. These are fantastic options and can make you very, very successful, along with having the satisfaction of doing something great, something path breaking, and also give you the reasonable good amount of money that you have to do. Now, over time, when you are in practice, please do not cut corners. What is very, very important, that the regulatory squeeze is going to happen. The DCGI drugs, implants, machine, like an IOL today is a drug. You have to keep the records. That is very, very important. And this is something that you have to take. One important thing that we need to leverage, and I think the LDP program, the AIOS can do, is to train the trainer. Experienced faculty needs to be trained, and these faculty can help in making India an international training hub like we had Nalanda, which was like you can make it like the Nalanda of ophthalmology. If you have, there is still, I would say, the strong Guru Shishya culture which is there, and the willingness for people to learn. So I would say that that is another thing which you could look at from being successful in ophthalmology, that you become a trainer and train other people. Now, when you saw in COVID, the subsidies time is going to go out. When you were looking at the hospital bed availability, nobody wanted to go to a government hospital. They all wanted to go to a private hospital. That is going to be a problem. There is going to be increase in the burden on the government. Resistance from service providers will be there, and there will be collapse due to the enormous amount of numbers which we have seen, which is there. So there will be an awareness that quality care counts. There will be somebody willing, whether it be the Ayushman Bharat scheme or somebody else, the freebies are going to go, that we are doing to do camp surgeries for free. Somebody is going to pay, whether it is 4,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 rupees for a cataract surgery. But the insurance for healthcare is going to come. And with rise in the standards of living, I'm sure that the per procedure cost can go up. Now, one important thing finally that I will tell you is that please, in today's world, I would say it's a big bad world where every patient is a potential litigant. So what is going to save you is electronic record keeping, meticulous documentation that you have. Everything needs to be documented and signed from the patient. You need to look at having personal indemnity, and the nuisance by opportunists. You are going to have billboards like in US saying, if you are dissatisfied with the patient, with the doctor, come to me and we will sue him and we can split the money half and half. So I think ophthalmology is one of the very high litigation specialties which is there. Obstetrics is another one, so plastic surgery is another one. So unfortunately we are in a specialty where we have to be prepared for the litigation challenges that are there. And finally, the last thing that I have to say is work-life balance is something which is there. We are having youngsters popping away because of increasing psychological disorders, increasing lifestyle disorders, possibly divorce rates are increasing. But what is very, very important, that you need to look at some amount of work-life balance, that realization that you have to go easy at some particular time, maybe have short vacations. And obviously this is something that you have to see, that you have to set your own parameters as to how much you want to really keep working. But yes, I think if you work smart, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, and having a vacation every 2-3 months for 5-7 days would be there, and you can have quality time to self. So finally, friends, I would just wish to say is that what Charles Darwin said was the survival of the fittest. So it is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent that survives. What is very, very important is that one that is able to be the most adaptable to change. Change is the only constant in life, that lives within the means and available and works cooperatively among common threats. So there will be threats always. You have to be on a treadmill to make things. So what has to be there is, be like a plastic, be like moldable, be something that you can adapt. And the person who adapts the fastest will be the winner ultimately, because whatever trends are changing, that needs to be identified by you, and you need to change according to those particular trends. So this is all I would wish to say, that how you can be successful, I would say, in practice or in life as an ophthalmologist. And all the best to all of you, the young people, and from all of us from the LDP platform, that we wish to develop leaders, and it will be the most satisfied thing for me when a youngster does better than what we have done. And that is, you have the sky as the limit to capture. And I would say that the future is so bright that for India, I would say I have great belief in India that our future is bright, and we will need to actually just be on the lookout for this future, grasp it with your hands, and success will come, and what they say, aapke haath chumegi. Thank you very much.
Wonderful talk, Mahipal. Wonderful. So the last slide I like. So I went to see which is that one which is surviving, and I think the what is that, iguana lizard is the one which is surviving. There is no water, there is no vegetation, only acacia is there, and I think it feeds. So I went to Galapagos to see what Charles Darwin said. And I think a great talk. I think the last slide I liked because one who can adapt. So I came from Madras to Bombay with no Hindi. Even today I can't speak good Hindi, Marathi, or I think you have to adapt and then be one part of them and do well. And I think you have done that very well. Great, Mahipal.
Thank you.
Wonderful talk, sir, and really very, very inspiring. And we look up to you as our role model. So, one small question I would like to ask you, a very simple question. What is the definition of a successful practice?
I think you have to define your own borders as to what you call success. I can't give you for somebody like who's running an Amazon, that could be success. Somebody for Mukesh Ambani, the success will be different, and for yourself, I would say something that keeps you satisfied and to what you have, but you need to set yourself targets that this is what I want to achieve, and long-term planning is something very, very important. I can't give you a figure that I do 1 crore of business or I do 10 crores of business because these things keep on changing. So you need to say, you need to have a 5-year plan as to मैं 5 साल में कहाँ हूँगा और 15 साल में कहाँ हूँगा. And if you are able to achieve those particular things, that is what I will call a person successful. I would call a person successful who is able to differentiate himself and be different from the others and be different from the crowd. That is something that ultimately there are 25,000 ophthalmologists, and if you are one of these 25,000, it doesn't it won't put you as a success. But say, let's say a housewife or somebody who has to take care of the family, etc. The definition of success would be different from somebody who has a strong support system. So push yourself, make a target as to where you are. You need to have a satisfaction in your mind that you have achieved what you set out to be to achieve, whether as an individual, as a researcher, as an academician. Be known in society, be known for the good work that you are doing. Patient satisfaction, and obviously at the end of the day, having created something that you can leave behind as a legacy.
Thank you so much, sir. I agree. It's a totally different perspective from each person's point of view. And thank you so much for being with us and sparing your valuable time. And really, it was very nice listening to you, sir.
Thank you.